Horror has its fair share of bad cops, and in this video, I'm counting down the worst of the worst.
Protect and serve, that's what we do.
Number 10, Bride of Chucky. Holy crap, all of this movie is loaded with bad cops, and even starts off with Officer Bailey stealing Chucky's body from the evidence locker. He gets his comeuppance fairly quickly, though. Hey, don't fuck with the Chuck. Then we have Chief Kincaid, who will do anything to keep his niece away from her boyfriend, Jesse.
I'll be damned if I'm gonna let you embarrass me by ending up on Jerry Springer with some trailer trash lowlife.
He even hires Officer Needlenose to harass them.
All this following us around, is that covered by your regular salary? Or does my uncle pay you extra?
Extra.
Chief Kincaid even goes as far as planting drugs in Jesse's van before being dealt with by Chucky.
Why does that look so familiar?
Then his pal pulls them over and finds the planted drugs before getting sky high himself. This movie even ends with not a necessarily bad cop, but a stupid one, being killed by Chucky's baby. Number 9, Saw 2. The whole premise of this movie centers around Detective Eric Matthews, who's not winning any World's Best Dad trophies anytime soon.
I think I should go back to Mom's.
Well then go!
His son is in an entire house filled with people who have served hard time due to this cop framing them.
Your son is playing a game with a lot of people who don't like you very much, Detective. It would be a shame if they discovered who he was.
One of whom become a drug addict after being falsely arrested.
How long have you,
I started in jail.
What were you arrested for?
Possession.
But I thought you said that.
Maybe you should talk to the cop who arrested me.
Still, all Jigsaw wants Detective Matthews to do in order to get his son back is simply talk with him. But that's asking a lot from a dirty cop.
We both know the sort of person you are, sir.
Get out of here.
The sort of person who guns down an unarmed suspect. That's the sort of person who plants evidence in order to obtain a conviction. The sort of person whose wife leaves him and whose son hates him.
Shut the fuck up!
With Detective Matthews defaulting to his corrupt nature, things don't end so well for him.
Game over.
I'll fucking kill you!
Number 8, Night of the Living Dead. Barbara just wanted to go to the cemetery and place some flowers on her mother's grave with her brother Johnny. Unfortunately for them, they picked the wrong day to be in a cemetery as a zombie apocalypse is on the horizon.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
After Johnny bites the dust, she runs to an isolated cabin to hole up with some other survivors, including Ben. And let me tell you, Ben definitely has that leadership quality about him.
Because if I stay up here, I'm fighting for everything up here, and the radio and the food is part of what I'm fighting for.
Despite the house being surrounded by the living dead, Ben manages to survive the night by boarding himself up in a cellar. In the morning, the chief of police shows up just as Ben is about to emerge from the cellar, and you'd like to think this is the part where Ben finally gets rescued.
There's something there. I heard a noise.
Unfortunately, he gets mistaken for a zombie.
Hit him in the head, right between the eyes.
And it's over for him that quickly.
Okay, he's dead. Let's go get him. That's another one for the fire.
Number 7, Cabin Fever. Vacationing with your friends at an isolated cabin is a great idea. You know, until you accidentally catch a hermit on fire who is carrying an infectious flesh-eating disease, and you have to rely on local law enforcement. This is especially true when the local law enforcement is Deputy Winston Olsen.
Morning, son. Deputy Winston, Bunyan County Sheriff's Department.
This dude's way more interested in partying than actual police work.
Howdy, ma'am. Everything's fine. Just go back inside, have yourself a big 40, just party.
Later, he does end up partying with some underage kids while he's still in uniform, and this also may explain why he forgot to help those kids who are staying in the cabin.
I'm so fucking sorry about the tow truck, man. I sent it there, it broke down. I had to get a tow truck to get that fucking tow truck. Man, what do you need? You need a fucking ride?
Then he helps his sleazy sheriff dispose of one of the infected vacationers, and he can't even do that right because he ends up infecting the entire community in the process. Number 6, Pet Sematary 2. Let's face it, folks, Clancy Brown doesn't play good guys, and Gus Gilbert from Pet Sematary 2 is definitely no exception. In the early stages of the film, he's a hard-nosed cop, a strict stepdad.
Now, I thought we were going to tone down on your flabby ass.
And he even goes as far as to shoot his stepson's dog.
How'd it happen? Some psycho got trigger happy.
But once Gus is buried in the Pet Sematary and comes back as a zombie cop, he's even worse. He forces himself on his wife.
Oh, stop it! Don't, Gus! Stop me!
He becomes a grave robber, child murderer, kills his own wife and stepson, and then tries to kill pretty much anyone who gets in his way.
No brain, no pain. Think about it.
I'm asking you to be one of the good guys and hit that subscribe button right now. I'll give you 5 seconds before another bad cop does something bad. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Attaboy.
Did you do it? Number 5, Willy's Wonderland. And entering the top 5, we have our first female cop on the list, and let me tell you something, she's a doozy.
I don't have time for this today, okay?
Now you may think someone who would adopt an orphan would be a freaking saint, but you'd be dead wrong.
Much as she pisses me off, I couldn't live with losing that girl.
As a matter of fact, this poor girl's only an orphan because the sheriff sacrificed her parents to the monsters inside of Willy's Wonderland. And she's been doing this stuff for years.
Willy needs to eat, and I'm gonna feed him.
And she would continue to do stuff like this, except Willy relieves her of her duties. Number 4, Tales from the Hood. This movie features an entire anthology episode centered around dirty cops. It starts off with them pulling over an innocent man.
She had no reason to pull me over.
Get a fucking tail light out.
This man is a senator that has a goal that these cops just can't get behind.
We won't stop until we get every single crooked cop in this city.
Moorehouse.
Neither drugs nor pretenders of the law will be allowed to drain the life of this community.
So, they serve him up with a brutal beating, shoot him up with drugs, plant drugs in his car, and then dispose of him.
You were right about one thing. The cops are dealing drugs in the 6th precinct.
So, these guys don't only kill this man, they also destroy his reputation in the process.
And what are you gonna tell them? That the body of a citizen we murdered has come back to kill us?
In the end, these bad boys, see what I did there? Get what's coming to them.
Welcome to my world.
Number 3, I Spit on Your Grave. Remake. Jennifer Hills rents an isolated cabin in the middle of the woods so she can work on her new book.
I'm actually a novelist and I'm starting my next book here.
Unfortunately, this town is full of rednecks, and doesn't she know all rednecks are sexual predators? After being assaulted by these men, she runs for help and comes across the town sheriff. But turns out, he's a bad guy too.
Is that right?
He then proceeds to brutally assault her with the group of men and then tries to murder her. All of this before going home to his pregnant wife and daughter.
Daddy. How's my angel?
Daddy.
The remainder of the film focuses on him trying to cover up this heinous crime, and he's willing to go to any lengths, even killing his friend. But things don't work out so well for the good old sheriff.
Please, I'm begging you.
Number 2, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre Remake. What do you do when a girl commits suicide in the back of your van? Find the sheriff, of course. But where is he?
Getting drunk.
And when his drunk ass does finally come around, you find out pretty quickly that he's not one of the good guys.
Excuse me, you mind getting the fuck out of my way, son?
It's hinted at that he's into necrophilia.
I used to love wrapping up these young honeys.
Yeah, I bet you did.
Yeah, it caught me a little bit of a feel every now and then, you know?
He's a baby snatcher, and he's not only a murderer, but enjoys chowing down on the people he kills. Your best bet is to stay far away from Sheriff Hoyt, unless you get the chance to run him over. We're coming up on number 1, and I want to know, do you agree with my selections? Leave me a comment below and join in on the discussion. Number 1, Maniac Cop. This one has to make number 1 because, well, please refer back to the title. Officer Matthew Cordell was a super cop that believed firmly in the motto of shoot first, ask questions later.
They don't make cops like him anymore.
Until he was busted for use of excessive force and sent to prison with some of the people he put away.
It was a crime what those politicians did to him. Putting him in Sing Sing with all those criminals he'd been chasing all those years. It was like handing him a death sentence.
As you can imagine, they weren't big fans, so they nearly killed him. Once Cordell was back on the outside, he put on his old uniform and went to work. And by work, I mean practically killing anyone he could get his hands on. He killed civilians, an entire police station filled with cops, has a chin that would make Bruce Campbell jealous, and his ultimate goal was not only kill the police commissioner, but to kill the mayor too. So, what can we learn from all of this?
You see a cop coming now, you get out of the way.